Hi friends, welcome to WebChamp. In this video, I'm going to discuss aggregation and grouping in pandas. So let's understand what does mean by aggregation. So to perform the aggregations, what we does is we can take this sum or minimum value, maximum value, count or average of a numerical column. So this is what the aggregation, but what does mean by grouping then? So if you say grouping, so let me consider this data set, and here I have few categorical columns like customer or customer ID. Okay, this is not a categorical. Okay, so segment, then country, city, state. These are the categorical columns even by region. And if you want to, you will be able to find out the sum of sales. But let's say if you want to find out the sum of sales by region, what we can do in Excel, we can create the pivot table, and actually this is the grouping of data. Okay, so what I will do, I will bring the region, and I want a sum of sales by region, so I will put the sales amount, and by default here it is showing the count, but let me say sum. Okay, since the data is in the form of text, it is not giving me the sum, but let me refresh this after converting. Okay, and if I take refresh, so this is what my total sum. If I remove this is our aggregation. But if I wants to divide this amount, if I wants to do the partitioning of this amount by a region, by a category, then this term is referred as an grouping. So this is what we have to do in pandas, but before that we will see how we can perform the aggregations, and then we will see how we can use the grouping also. So aggregation is very much simple. So I have loaded here a sales data, and if I print df5, so you will be able to see that same data set I have loaded here. So out of this, if I extract the column called sales dot sum. Okay, so this is the aggregation function that directly I can apply on the column, and if I run this, so it gives me the sum of sales. So here you can see that 1099 862 1099 862 is the sum of sales. Similarly, you can find the minimum value, maximum value, average value. Okay, I will change the functions only. So average is nothing but mean. Okay, instead of doing this, what I will say, I will use the mean function here directly to show you the value. So it says 219 point something is a mean value. If I say mean value, minimum value from that column is 0.55. If I say maximum value, it gives me the maximum value. And if I take count, it gives me this much is the number of values in that column. So this is our aggregation, but I wanted to perform the grouping. Even if you want to perform the many aggregations at the same time, so there is a method called aggregate or AGG method. So method names are two, but syntax is very much similar. So what we can do is we can use AGG method or aggregate method to perform the aggregations, and at the same time you can get the different types of statistics. Like if I say this is what my column name dot agg, if I call the method here, and if I open the signature, you will be able to see that it is asking for the function. Okay, you can pass your function if you want to pass, but I don't want to pass any function. Instead of that, I would like to pass directly values. So values, since we are calling this function on the data frame, Okay, so we don't need to pass this. Instead of this, I will say sales colon, and here you have to pass the list of aggregate functions. So this is how even you can perform the aggregation to see all the kinds of results in one go, sum, min, max, count, and mean. So now if I run, it will give me, okay, so this is not a colon, it should be is equal to. Expression contain assignment operator, perhaps you mean, okay. Oh, the problem is that here I supposed to pass everything as a key and value pair. I passed directly as a value. That's why it is not behaving. But now it should behave. So minimum value is this much, maximum value is this much, count is so and so, mean value is this. So this is how we can get the aggregation, right? Similarly, we can use the aggregate function also. The function name itself is fully aggregate. Otherwise, there is nothing different in AGG method and aggregate method. Okay, so here, if I say aggregate, even this is going to behave in the same way. So AGG also give us the same result. Aggregate also give us the same result. But my interest is I don't want to take these all at the same time. We can take as per our requirement. But my requirement is that I wanted to take the sum of sales by region. So in data frame, we have column called region. If I run this, so you will be able to see this. So there is something called region, and I wanted to take the sum of sales by region the way I performed here. Right? So this is what my expected output, and what I can do is I can use the group by method. So how to use? So you can call the group by directly, pass the a list of columns which needs to be considered. Okay. So what I will do, I will say data frame df, okay, dot group by. So if I say group by, and now what is the by? So in by parameter, you are supposed to pass the list of columns which needs to be considered. Okay, so I will pass region. I wanted to group the data by region only. And if you want to add more than one, you can pass the list. Otherwise, you can keep only one name in the form of text. Okay. So next is axis. Axis is equal to 0. I don't want to change the axis. So let's keep axis. Then a sort, and then group keys, observe, drop in. So these kind of things, if you want to use to true and false by using, you can decide what or how you want to perform. But I will say by region. Okay. If I run this, it is returning me as something in the form of object. Now, if I call this method, even if I say sum of, so here I cannot call sum directly, but I can. On the group by, I can call, but lots of columns are there. So that's why it is giving me error. So date time column is also not supported the summation operation. That's why it is throwing the error. So we cannot go ahead and directly perform this kind of operation. So what we can do instead of this, we can select the columns. Even that is the another way. So what I will do, I will I will consider df. Df is equal to df5, and then if I pass the list of region, comma, sales, and now if I say df, and if I run this, okay, so it says df is not defined. I defined a df. Okay, here df5 error is there, right? And now this will give me the result, since there is no issue at all. Earlier, because of date time data, meaning the column name is order date and delivery date. So these are the types of kind of numerical when dates are represented in the form of numbers. So it was trying to get the sum of this, and this is not possible. So that's why it was throwing the error. But then what I did, I selected only two columns. If you want to select more than this, so I can say category, okay, and I will add quantity also. So two categorical and two numerical column I'm considering, and still this will behave. See, this function will give you the sum of all the numerical columns by region. So now if I run this, so here you can see that, okay, category is, I have not added, that's why. So what I will do, I will add the grouping in this way. So now it is giving me the by meaning it is giving me the sum of sales and quantity by region by category. So for each region, it produces three different rows, and this is what I did even when I add the category, right? So for furniture 85028, central furniture 85028, same result we are getting. So we can produce the same result by using grouping as we perform the pivot table. But in case of grouping, let me, so output, if you look, okay, in while performing the grouping, and I have taken the sum of sales, but what it has done is, so I have two columns which are at this level, and then next two columns, value columns, are sitting somewhere at upper level. So this is a kind of index, and what I want is, I don't want to do this. So here, what I can do is I can pass as index parameter. Okay, for this it is not available, but yes, for group by it is there. If I call the, okay, so as index is there, I missed this. So if I pass here as index false, so all these four columns to be considered as a column of new return data frame, and here you will be able to see that all are now sitting at the same level. So this is your another modified table. And if I pass as index is equal to pass, you can see that all my values are filled here. Right? All my values are filled here for the each row. Central, east is filled. If you do not pass this, it will not be filled. Even if I pass this is equal to true, this is the default value. If I run, you will be able to see that this is giving me this kind of view. So similarly, we can create the hierarchy as we want. But if you want to do something like this, grouping and all, you can short of the data frame and then perform the operation. So that will give you more precise, even without any issue. You will not face so much challenges, and your result will be appropriate one. And then See, if you are looking to create a pivot table, the way we can create in the Excel, how this is possible. So this is possible in Pandas, but there is a function name itself is called pivot table. So we can use that function to summarize the data the way I created. Meaning, if you wants to add the fields to this column, or if you wants to create the a wide layout, what we can do is we can use the pivot table method. So if I say dot and then not pivot underscore table is a method name. Okay. So here I can pass the list of values. I can pass the list of indexes. I can pass the list of columns, and also these four parameters is minimum requirement of this function. So what I will do, I will say this is equals to this, then indexes is nothing but what you want to keep in the column. Then aggregate function by default function type is mean, but let's say I want to take the sum of the values. Then what is the list of values, meaning the column? So I can say sales is my column. Then I can say region is my index, and I can say in columns category. So this is how I can perform, and if I run this, so here you will be able to see that same kind of, meaning the furniture, office supplies, and technologies are separated in different columns, and then regions are sitting in the rows, and values. So if you want to consider more than one value column, what we can do is we can pass the list. That is what you have to understand. This is what the pandas works. So I can say quantity now. If I run this here, you will be able to say that quantity and sales both are separated by the category furniture, office supplies, and technology, and you will be able to see. So now same thing, if I want to do, I can add the here. Okay. And then since this is not a classic pivot, I'm not able to separate this. So let me convert this into the classic one. And now if I bring the value up, okay, so sales and quantity is separated the way I have created a pivot in Pandas. So very simple method. You have to pass, let's say if you want to pass the more than one column here, so you can pass, but let me add those columns. Okay, so here let me add state, but it is always better to summarize the data to get the selected number of columns. So it will state and then fine. And now if I run this, it will give me a more flexible, or I can say the long format, a pivot table. And last one is as index is applicable. So if I say as underscore index is equal to false. Okay. So in case of pivot table, as index is not going to work, as index is applicable for the function name called group by. So how you can make this possible? Now let's say you have to bring down all these headers to the column level, right? So in that case, what we can say is we can use reset index function, and this will definitely help us. Okay. So now this has bringed or bought this, and then these two are gone off. So we may need to use the various functions. So we will see advancement in this, and here you can see that all my values are getting filled like earlier. Before resetting the index, it was giving me the different view. If I run this, so like this, so central was not filled for all the rows. So if I say reset index or as index is equal to false in group by, both are same, and both will help me to repeat the value, repeat the labels until for each row. So this is how pivot table can be created, and aggregation and grouping is possible in Pandas. And even if you have a good understanding of these things, so it will be very easy to perform the analysis of data. So I hope you like the content of this video. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a nice day.